And you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, my sidekick, Burke. What's poppin', baby?
I don't like this. I thought we got rid of this with the Tortuga bit.
No, we didn't get rid of shit. I just didn't bring it up in the recent shows.
All right. Well, I am still crunch timing here.
Oh, you're still doing stuff?
No, I'm not actually. I'm good to go.
Okay.
We have a very special guest in the building, as always, one and only Poo Dog Melissa. It's Tuesday.
Throwing it to each other.
Yeah, that's the way to intro it.
Another special guest today here, Tortoise.
Hey, what's going on? We also have Mr. In the Muck. Well, I'm in the muck, but someone who's going to, get me out of the muck. That is Mr. Landon Tice.
We should do this every day.
We should.
Just stop now, please.
This is
Throw it to Guapo.
You selfish prick.
What the fuck's
Sorry.
wrong with you? Just go. You're not yes-anding. We did improv class, goddammit.
Right. Thank you, Melissa.
Fuck.
You are absolutely correct.
Guy
yes,
thinks he's
and.
too cool for
and,
school.
And who are we forgetting?
We're forgetting the band that does not want to be thrown to.
Throw it.
Throw it.
Miguel Gonzalez.
There he is.
Wow, I actually went with my actual name. I like this.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I don't have a camera today, boys.
You are
That's-
okay, we
that's,
hear you.
You are related to Angel Gonzalez, correct? That plays for the Mexico City Snipers.
He
yeah,
is Angel
he's a
Gonzalez.
second cousin.
Rude. Very, very rude.
Do you not want to get thrown to because you didn't have a camera?
Yeah, basically.
It's okay.
I didn't actually believe that he didn't want to get thrown to. I thought he was just being modest.
No.
And I thought Landon actually forgot Guapo existed and was just,
No, you didn't.
living in his Zoomer land.
No, you didn't. You didn't believe this.
I kind of
Don't
believed
lie
it.
to them.
A little bit.
No, you didn't.
A little bit.
I know my friend.
Well,
If he had his phone, then maybe.
right. Right.
His phone has been
He's in the
confiscated.
room right now.
Yeah. Has it been?
No.
Sure.
No one can talk to me about phones or anything else unless they show up on time and do their job. I can't take this. Oh, where's his phone? He's always on his phone all the time. You're not even here on a Thursday every
don't
other
get
week.
me started on these phones.
Leave me the fuck alone, okay? I've learned how to be one with the phone.
No, you haven't.
Yes, dude, you don't tell me what I am and I'm not. You don't get to tell me what I am and I'm not. That's for fucking sure.
Okay, listen, to defend Landon a little bit, when you weren't here, Burke, and he was in the captain's seat,
Yeah.
about 5 seconds before the show would start, he just tossed his phone.
No,
through my
that
phone.
did not. No.
It
I
was
got text
mid-show.
messages. I got text messages all through the Strat chat with Matt.
It was mid-show.
That Landon was on his phone.
when he
No,
threw his phone.
that was when, because Matt was in your
No,
seat.
that was when
No,
you
it
were.
wasn't.
No. That was when I was sitting here, and this is when Conrad
Right.
tried to tell me about my phone when he's sitting there with the fucking Mr. Gadget.
Well,
When
to
Landon
be
was in
fair,
your seat,
Hey,
he-
to be fair to
right
Conrad,
there.
he
Conrad
he doesn't speak anyways.
he
Right.
does the
right.
intro,
Conrad
and then
does
he's
what he
kind of
wants.
in the chat the rest of the time. He's
doing other
You're an
things.
ethereal being, if you will.
I'm doing other things,
Right,
Minding my-
not being part of the show.
minding my own goddamn business over here.
Right. So he's minding his own business, mad at me for not minding my own business.
Yes, you're not supposed to.
Right.
I gotta tell you, this is going so much better than I could have ever imagined.
I like that we're fleshing out everybody's roles here on the podcast.
Well,
so-
no, it's just I was gonna, wait to get to the Don't Get Me Started game, but this is just going great.
Don't get me started about my fucking phone. When you were gone and my responsibility needed to be heightened, I threw my phone over there and I did my job.
That was
appreciate
that was after the day that you
I
spent.
can
on your
corroborate
phone.
his story.
It was after the day because
you
I had
spent
more
on your phone.
responsibility. It doesn't matter if I was on my phone or not. You're not even here for all of it,
I
for what it's worth.
run the show, actually. You
run the
fucking
show.
Momo.
You run the show and then you leave.
The problem was you didn't pay attention because you were so deep in your phone. You had no idea what was going on outside of your phone.
I knew what was going on. I just didn't want to be a part of it.
You knew nothing.
Oh man. Oh wow, this is incredible.
Anyways, my point is, now that you're back,
Yeah, now that
my
I'm back.
role is a little bit lessened, and you like to speak a lot.
No. When you're in a
So he'll be on
two-shot,
his phone,
yeah, when you're in a
basically.
two-shot, you can't ever be on your phone.
Whenever
That's a rule.
That's fair.
That's a rule.
That's a fair rule.
Yeah.
See, like my phone just kind of went off. It's like ping, and like I'm just gonna leave it.
That's good. You know, it's
I mean, look
probably
at
Nikki
how bad
telling
do you
us
want
to
to look
stop
at your
yelling.
phone right now?
I don't want to look at my phone. I'm just
my
waiting for the
God.
camera to switch to look at
Oh,
my
well,
phone.
went off again. Who knows what it is?
Oh
Could be anybody.
man, don't get me started. You know,
Don't fucking do it.
We were gonna.
Oh god.
This is so good. I don't see any reason to push this. So we had a fun game. A fun game. If
We
you
were
will.
scared of this game at the
Just go
start.
for
A
it.
fun game, if you will.
Doesn't sound fun. To be honest.
It's called "Don't Get Me Started," and basically someone gives someone else a random topic, and they just continue to rant on that. Which I was greatly looking forward to this game. It's right up my alley. It seems that Landon broke the ice. He doesn't want to get started on these phone conversations. It would appear, and I get it, man.
You have valid complaints.
Yeah. No, I
see your
understand.
points.
Okay, well that's all we're looking for here. You know.
I'm not saying I'm writing this by looking at my phone.
No, that's fine.
I'm just saying don't take it away from me.
Yeah, that's
I'm just
fine.
saying don't.
That's fine.
Just see what's going on here.
And you know what? You earned the opportunity to not get someone else started. You know, that's the way this game plays.
Like not getting Conrad on like actually being part of the show or like doing his job.
Well,
Oh, what do you mean?
well, no, that would be don't get me started.
Yeah, there. Go ahead,
Oh, I
Bernie.
guess that's up to you.
Listen, I show up. That's my job.
Sometimes.
Don't get me started on Conrad's role in the show because he's become the beloved intro guy, and I can't get rid of him. Okay, like I did this to myself.
This was strategic. I'll let you know
I'm
that.
sorry, it was what?
Strategic.
Strategic.
How many H's are in that
Yeah,
word?
you guys understand. You guys can't make fun of me. I went to speech. I have a speech impediment.
You
Like,
don't.
you guys,
Speech impediment.
you guys are making fun.
Your speech impediment is called 5 a.m. whiskey.
You guys are making fun of a like, oh, you guys are. This is fucked up. This is fucked. I'm gonna call somebody about this. I don't know who I'm gonna call, but I'm calling
Call
somebody.
HR.
Don't get
I'm
me
calling
started.
HR.
Don't get me started on Conrad's speech impediment.
It's, you know, I have one. What do
Can't
you wanna
understand
do?
a goddamn word he's saying.
You can't make fun of me for it. It's bad.
I mean,
that's down bad, guys.
that is a little
That is a
down
low
bad.
blow.
That is
I
a little
mean,
down bad.
You know?
it is, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Who's the HR guy in this place?
Sadly, it's me.
me.
It's both of you.
Actually, I'll happily
It should
let
be
Lamanna
Lamanna.
call.
Yeah, right. I'm the Toby of the group.
Although I don't know if that's necessarily true given his creepiness with Taylor Swift.
That is
What
true.
creepiness?
That's a good point.
Like,
Don't get me started on how
not
you
a
guys think I'm
pedophile.
creepy because I like Taylor Swift.
There's no kids.
This is such
Hold on.
bullshit.
There's
no,
no kids.
this is my moment.
I'm standing up for you.
moment.
I'm saying there's
Okay.
no kids that
Oh,
come in
thank
this
you.
place. So it's fine if you're HR.
Christ almighty, what are we doing here?
That's not standing up for you.
That's not standing up for me
Go
at
ahead,
all.
Tortoise, have your moment.
Right. I'm sorry. I like Taylor Swift. I'm excited that her new album drops on April 19th. It's called it's called the Tortured Poets Department, and I'm here for it.
That's you, Brian, the
right?
tortured
And what
poet.
is wrong with that? What is wrong with being a fan of somebody?
Are you gonna feel like?
I don't see anything wrong with it at all.
Are you gonna lose a piece of your soul when she marries Travis Kelce next
No,
week?
they're not
You like
gonna
them
marry him.
together?
I do. I think they're. I'm
do
not.
too.
I'm not as passionate about it as Michelle. She thinks they're gonna make it. Like make it. I'm
Man,
like,
did you see his
let's-
ex?
Let's be.
I think he's
serious.
a little bit of a fuck.
No, he's a lot of bit
That's
of a
what I
fuckboy. Did
thought.
you see his
That's what I
ex?
think.
We watched
Yeah.
Catching Kelsey.
We
But,
watched Catching Kelsey.
They kind of like are on like the same kind of level, right? He's at the top of his game, she's at the top of her game. So it's and they're like they're fun together. So
They both
maybe,
appeal to 14-year-old girls.
Right, but when all that when all that wears off,
Brian.
and then it's just it's them, and will that relationship work when all the fun and the newness wears off?
right.
So
To
be fair,
that's the test.
To be fair, she's already been with John Mayer, who's probably the king of all fuckboys.
Also
so.
true.
And
Yeah,
Harry Styles,
he fucked her.
right?
Yeah, she notoriously
Harry
goes
Styles,
for fuckboys.
yeah.
But they've all been skinny fuckboys. Now he's a big burly fuckboy.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
He's cloudy.
She's always kind of had like the nerdy,
Feminine.
artistic guy, and now she's going for like the football player.
That's good to see in
Yeah,
Hollywood.
right.
Nice.
Good for her.
Seems like you don't like it.
You get yours, Taylor.
Wait a minute, she won like Grammys and stuff, right?
She did. She won. She won Grammy of the album of the year The first person in history to win it 4 times.
Jay-Z
Travis
was
Kelce
not
didn't
happy.
even show
The
up.
same
I
album.
know Travis Kelce didn't even show up. It's like, what's he doing this week?
Is a king
He's got
fuckboy.
nothing going on this week. But why wasn't he there?
He's here in Vegas, yeah?
Yeah, he's here in Vegas for the Super Bowl.
Grammys were in Los Angeles?
They were in
Why
Los
couldn't he
Angeles.
stop
I mean, he
by?
could have fucking swung
Yeah.
by.
I heard he got
Could've.
bit by a coyote.
I mean, she's red-eyeing
was
it
him?
from Tokyo after a show to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We don't know if that's true. or
no,
not.
I heard he got bit by a
That wasn't
coyote.
him, though, was
yeah,
it?
Somebody
was.
did. I heard a player
Yeah,
did.
It was
I heard
Travis
a
Kelce,
player.
guys.
It was
How do
not
you know it
Travis
was
Kelce.
Travis?
Yeah, like Las Vegas, he got bit by a coyote. Fucked up
It was
shit.
It was somebody, but it wasn't.
Conrad's here to host the show and spread misinformation on the podcast.
Yeah.
And read
There-
some things
There's certain to be.
incoherently.
Don't get me started on the gaslighting.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a Twitter space about Conrad tonight.
Well, now that you just started one, you asshole.
Don't get Conrad started on Twitter spaces, okay?
I hate all
Don't
this.
get anybody started on
You
Twitter.
don't like
Spaces.
Twitter Spaces? What's wrong with Twitter Spaces?
I quit. I'm out.
Come on, tell
What's
us what
the
you don't
last
like.
one?
Yes, and
I don't have
What's the
anything for
last
you guys
one?
here.
The
I
last
think you
Twitter
guys-
space was the Ryan versus Garrett stuff, right?
Yeah,
that was like 4 hours, but none of us here decided to listen
the
to
one
that.
where
No.
Eden was in the chat for 90 minutes begging for his recognition that
I
he
would
ran
rather
the
listen
space.
to him than like Brian and Garrett fighting.
You'd rather listen to Eden?
Monologue.
Interesting.
Wouldn't
There-
you rather than those two going at it?
I
mean,
will
it's like
say I
walking
do.
into like a LA coffee shop and somebody got the last oat milk.
Don't get me started.
how are the dating apps going?
Look at you start on Men on Hinge.
Not great.
No, I saw you post a few pictures of
Yeah.
guys that like swiped right
some
on
of
you.
the pickup lines and stuff. One guy was like, what did he say? I know you would.
You'd like it.
I know you'd love the feeling of being stacked by me.
I think that's a good one.
You do.
No, not at all. That's so cringe.
It's so weird. Why would you say that?
It's
Who would do such a thing?
It's like it's like somewhere along the lines, and I blame 50 Shades of Grey for this. Like that
Yeah.
somewhere
They're trying
along.
to be like Dom.
Well, somewhere along the lines, we as men we were pretty, we're all vanilla. Not
Well.
varying degrees, but like none of us were like of the impression that this was an okay way to just like that most women were into this sort of like fandom or whatever.
Okay.
Right? And I think 50 Shades of Grey came out and everybody was just like, oh, I need to be
I'm gonna
more of a
try
prick.
that.
Right, yeah.
And then they just don't do it.
I'm so
well,
glad I
and
never
it's
went.
cringe.
I'm glad I never went down that road because I would have been like the stupid cheesy. I'd have been like, I'd go all in for you.
No.
I know it's it's
thing he's
cheesy.
saying.
And it's dumb,
People
but, like,
do say that.
Yeah.
Like it's just like if you put poker in your profile, they just.
So
No,
tell me
I
about
mean,
Pocket Jacks.
Packet
They're like-
jacks.
Pocket Jack.
I would never get stacked with King Ace offsuit.
King Ace.
What are you talking about?
You've
Like,
selected yourself out of the pool.
I just, I haven't.
Anybody that says King Ace is a winner in my book.
I haven't swiped right on anyone in a long time.
Oh, anyone in a long time. Damn.
Yeah.
Have you ever swiped right on a poker-themed pickup line?
No.
Okay, you hear that, guys out there? No
That's like
poker
an
themed pick. That's
immediately.
that's.
I rest
you're
my
out.
case.
Right.
What if you were forced to come up with a good poker themed pickup line? Like what?
I'd fold.
Nice.
See, there you go. That's nice.
No, but it's
That's
nice on your topic. Not
No,
on-
I get it, but hey, he's in the vein. He's thinking about like if you
That
had
would
no
be like
choice,
hard mode.
right?
Get
right,
matched
like
with
poker
using a poker-themed pickup line.
terminology, Riz.
the thing is, I think it would be more effective on a non-poker player. Like if you
Definitely.
match,
They wouldn't know what you're saying.
well, they might have like a loose understanding, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe they've seen a hand or two.
They've maybe watched Rounders.
Right, they know what a royal flush is.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Berkey,
Yeah,
give me
everybody knows like the generic poker terms, so you'd have to go in that route.
Yeah.
You couldn't be like,
Berkey, give me your best pickup one-liner for a poker-themed.
come on,
you got something in the right on the
I
spot.
don't. I really don't, and I deserve to be put on the spot because I was trying to do it to you all first.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
baby.
like how you flip that. Guap.
Can I go all in?
Yeah. See.
That's okay.
No, it's not.
No.
Stop
I mean,
it. Don't.
yeah, but
Don't.
it's short enough that you can maybe interpret it a different way.
Yeah.
It's not great, but compared to some of the other
Comparatively
ones,
speaking.
That's basically what I said, right? I'd go all in for you.
No.
No?
No.
Oh,
One was the sexual innuendo, and the other one is just creepiness.
I think I'd go somewhere in the route of I'd consider making a negative EV fold versus your C-bet, baby.
That was the absolute worst.
Oh my God.
That was the absolute
I think
worst
he should
I've
be
heard.
banned from talking to women.
You guys know I wasn't serious, right? Was that not clear?
God, hope not.
You use too much
Nice
of
save,
the
Berk,
sultry
nice save.
voice.
Oh, right. The voice.
I have never drank or done a drug.
Yeah, we honestly can't like.
Sounds
can't
like a
tell.
hoot.
It sounds we can't tell. It sounds about right.
Okay, so
You have I've
He
never
removed that
drunk.
from his profile, by the way.
Oh,
first
okay.
of all,
Well, congrats.
the prompt was whatever.
Yeah, the prompt you're not saying it because the prompt makes it worse.
It just doesn't matter.
'Cause the
I
prompt
actually
was-
don't remember what the
'cause
prompt
was name a fun fact.
That's a fun fact.
I have never drunk or done a drug in my life.
Drunk a drug?
Drunk or drug?
You are a drunk. you and Eden should have a drunk space.
Wow, we should.
Okay, I looked up. I did some phone research. I found poker pickup lines.
This guy's on his phone again.
That's
No,
fine.
but
It's for research.
Oh my god. Fucking. All right, so I found some. This one's back in my room, the blinds don't go up until the maid comes in.
See, that's good.
That's pretty good.
That's like putting some thought into
That's
it.
pretty good.
Yeah. If they're witty and like,
Well, they could only be witty, or else you're an idiot.
I mean,
Doing it any other way is
yeah, of course.
a real nightmare. Like when I was grinding this was before apps. So like
Wow, this is a good one actually.
go ahead.
I would have had a flush, but you stole my heart.
That is not
It's
That's
not
not
bad.
bad. That's not bad.
good.
It's
That's
nuanced.
That's
Yeah.
bad.
These are
It's
better than the
nuanced.
ones that they actually
get.
say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
See?
I
Put some
agree with
effort
that
into
too.
it,
The bar is
guys.
low.
Jeez.
I wouldn't mind taking a bad beating from you.
No. That's
They're getting progressively
that's a little
worse.
too submissive.
that's cringe. 50 Shades. Before like apps, whenever the maturation process of online dating, I guess, was first like Hot or Not, where you just picked if somebody was hot or not. Then it was like Match.com type stuff where you actually had to
They had
email everybody.
quizzes, right?
OkCupid had a quiz, and it was deranged. Like it was like thousands of questions that were categorized, and one of the categories was sex, obviously, and it was insane how many questions they had about rape fantasies.
Oh, I feel like I remember that because I took it because I wanted to see like my results.
Sure.
But they don't really tell you results, right?
No.
Yeah, so I did
becomes
all these questions and then I didn't get any results.
Yeah, it becomes a part of your profile, and then like you get filtered that way. It was insane to see the number of questions along those lines. But back then, you had to cold open everybody, so you didn't get to like match or not match. You didn't really get to select.
You just
It was basically
browse.
just like leaving your DMs open on a dating site. And so if you were like, as a poker player, it's like you're always trying to optimize, so you come up with a one-liner and you just copy and paste it to like 1,000
I
profiles.
Think that's fine.
Yeah, what else are you gonna do?
Some guy ran a script.
I saw this.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It was like thousands of.
He ran a ChatGPT script to optimize an opener, and then he created another script to swipe based off of his preferences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he matched with something like 5,000 women or something like that, and then he ended up engaged at the end of the whole process.
Need that script, bro.
Yeah. 5,000? I don't think.
There you go. That now you know the bar. So you have to meet 5,000 guys, and one of them will be your future
That's
husband.
true. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Well, no, it's probably a higher probability for a woman.
okay. Last one.
True.
Last one I got that was reasonable. Yeah, I'm checking you out.
Okay.
I
That
feel
one's
like
good.
those ones are fine.
Yeah,
in
those
my
are good.
opinion.
If they
I
make
think
you
those
laugh,
are
that's the
okay.
thing. If it's like
Right.
Because
if
they're
it's just cheesy
they're
enough
self-aware
to make you
cheesy.
giggle, then it's good.
Yeah, like they're trying to be cheesy.
The checking you out
Right.
is very Brian-esque.
Right.
That's a very Brian. That's a Brian dad
Yeah.
pickup
Yeah.
riz.
That's not a dad joke.
It
That's
is
a rad joke.
Yeah, it's a dad pickup line.
Well, we have some sort of show for you today.
Yeah, we had some. This did not go the way we thought it was going to
No,
go.
it actually went better, to
Yeah,
be quite honest.
definitely.
Considering we had like near zero.
All things to consider. And somehow I didn't even rant about anything, so that's probably a win in and of itself.
We got an hour left, bro.
That's true. We are going to do a fun show today. We have an In the Muck. Tortoise is in the muck, as usual. We keep advertising him in the muck every single day. Today he actually
perpetually in the muck.
Well, you keep going to the fucking Jewel, man.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people are DMing me, coming up to me, asking me, sending me messages, emails, all types of shit saying, where's the Jewel? What is the Jewel? Is it Aria?
They think the Jewel is like the electronic vape.
Like no one would ever think
It's the Jewel
put
of
those
the
two
South.
together.
It's South Point.
Right.
It's just the beautiful building
They should
draped
sponsor
in
you.
gold.
Mm.
They should sponsor
What did
me.
they give him?
You're watching South
A hot
Point.
dog.
Hot dog.
Oh, yeah. Hot dog a
One
day?
free hot dog a day.
You know,
Tell
all
Tortoise.
the hot dogs there are so
You're an
good.
idiot.
No,
Probably
but I haven't been eating
sitting
them.
on a fucking
I haven't been
eating
eating them.
tray
I've
all
been
day.
clean, but like at least once a day, once a session, somebody comes sits right next to me with this beautiful hot
With
dog.
the
It
glizzy.
smells so good.
Glizzy.
It's got the
Glizzy
sauerkraut on it.
overdrive.
It's all dressed up.
Oh my
They're
God.
just eating it, and I'm like, oh, that looks so good. It smells so good. But I resist.
This is the wrong
Because Tony
follow-up.
Horton would be mad at me.
This is the absolute wrong follow-up to what Lamanna is just talking about, but I can't help it because Nikki said it and it's funny. She goes, for the best pickup line, poker related is, I want to open both of your enders.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You.
That's
Wait, what's the first ender?
Well, I assume
should have
that
left
it's-
that one for the late night shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm reading between the lines here.
Like a
Anyway,
centipede.
outside of the Jewel, which we will get to. We also have a React to Reddit where we're going to be talking everybody responding to a few Reddit posts as well as an Am I the Asshole? And then we're going to wrap with another why do I keep forgetting the name
Take a
of
beat.
this? Take a beat. Yeah.
You
man.
made the name.
I know. The problem is I keep wanting to call it the one big thing that Scott Van Pelt does.
Yeah.
So I just keep referencing the thing that I'm mimicking, which was inspired by Zen of Len. Recently put up a post. It wasn't just him. I saw Dankness put something up, and Osmus and a bunch of people just.
Shulman.
Well, Shulman was different. Shulman will inspire a different Take the Beat because his was
Take a beat,
whatever. His was fucking gold. But Zen of Len was just kind of talking about regs, maybe not putting forth the best behavior. And that's what I've crafted the Take a Beat about at the end. So we'll get to that. But first, let's hear this hand, Tort. Tort.
Thought we were gonna run the.
Well,
the
we are,
intro.
but Guapo's.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I know. We never give Guapo enough time.
Well, we kind of
but
did. I
yeah.
just outlined the whole.
Okay, here we are. We're back at the Jewel, aka South Point. For those that don't know, it's the Jewel of the South. And Guapo wants to throw that hand up on the.
Brian, you're gonna have to stall here for.
Okay, so we're gonna stall. So let me just give you a little meta. What's going on in this game? I've been going back and forth with this guy a little bit.
What's the vibe on this
The
guy?
vibe is I sit down and he had piles of chips, and then he was playing not like super tight, but not like crazy loose either. So
What's
like
piles?
just,
Like
I don't like he pumped like 1,500 maybe when
Feels
I sat
like a
down.
lot.
Yeah, at that game, I mean, it's like 2.5 buy-ins, full buy-ins, and so like we played a few different hands. I won most of them, except when we got it all in pre-flop with Ace King versus Ace King, both offsuit, and he rivers a flush. That was not good, but we decided that we were gonna get this money back. So, this hand came up. I think. Are we ready for this hand?
what did he look like?
Oh, you didn't recently post this. This is older, right?
What are you talking about?
It was like yesterday. You
You're
put a
this
thumbs
morning.
up on
This
it.
morning, I put it in there and I tagged you in it.
Podcast out.
No, I can't. I can't
Podcast
post
chat. Yeah,
chat. I can't.
banned
post
from that
We're
chat.
banned from the asset.
It's only you, Nikki,
Yeah.
and Matt.
See, what happens in our group chats is things just kind of spiral out of control. So we had to create a separate chat from the actual podcast chat. It's just podcast
Then
assets.
we end up having
Or we put the
conversations
assets
in
in,
there.
but we can't just have everybody have access to it, or it'll just spiral out of control again. So only certain people can post in there. So I had to post in the chat. Okay, here we go. Okay, so villain in seat 4 under the gun raises 4x to 12. We're playing 2-3, no limit. And like I said, he's deep. He's got like 2K in front of him. I got 575 to start the hand. I 3-bet with the king, queen of hearts to 30. Folds back around to him. And he shows up with the 4-bet, which doesn't come in a lot in these games, I got to tell you.
Clearly,
right?
Apparently, to you, it's 2% of the time.
Well, I mean, listen. I don't know if it's 2% of the time or not. I don't. It's really hard to tell, but I just know I don't see them that often.
Well, 2% would be just kings and aces.
That sounds about right. Actually.
No, it's not just kings and aces. Okay, so anyways, he comes in, he makes it 110, so a rather big 4-bet. I decide to call with my suited hand. I probably could just fold, but I just wasn't folding.
I wouldn't fold king queen suited either, but I mean,
right.
it's
I mean,
a big
theory
4-bet.
land, I probably could just fold. Yeah, I mean, but I decided to call, and we get a very favorable flop of the jack of hearts, 9 of hearts, 5 of clubs. So I have overs and a gut shot straight flush draw. He leads 90, which is a little less than half pot at 40%, and I decide to just call. Turn is an offsuit 4 of diamonds, and now he just piles, and I was like, well, I don't want to fold my equity, and you know, I decided on the flop, which was like, okay, I know I have a lot of equity in the hand, and I don't want, I could jam the flop, but I was like, I wasn't sure what to do, so I decided that if he did jam turn, I was probably gonna call it off. I call it off. And the river, bink, is the nice 3 of hearts. He rolls over the ace-king offsuit, and we win with the flush.
Okay, this is an interesting spot.
It is.
I don't hate the way you played it. I'm kind of curious if his line is okay, especially like I don't, we can look at what Theory Land looks like. I don't know how Landon ran it, but I would assume his 4-bet range is like probably pretty restricted to ace king and then queens plus.
Right. That's what I would think too. Maybe some ace queen suited in there.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it too.
I don't think ace queen suited is getting out of line there.
Yeah, like that's just not the hand.
I'm being generous, right?
No, I know, but like that's just
not the hand you should do it with either.
Well, it's also just like not the hand that people who don't 4-bet enough pick.
Right.
Right. I think it becomes like maybe king queen suited themselves, like hands that like aren't beating your 3-bets.
Yeah,
like people intuitively understand that. They kind of get like, oh, ace queen is just like beating his 3-bets.
Yeah,
so they're okay with calling with it. But like, yeah, like some like whenever they just like find 4-bets that they otherwise wouldn't, it's like tens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They get linear, but
Mm-hmm.
not with hands that are just like doing okay. It's like kind of hands that don't perform well at higher SPRs out of position.
What do you think about jamming on the flop?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that's probably the layup here. But I understand, like, you're not going to want to jam a jack on the flop. But you probably are going to want to jam like queens no heart, or maybe queens with whatever. It doesn't really matter. The point is that like most of your range that calls flop is just going to stack off. I imagine you're going to have like some call folds, but not really a ton. And then I'm very curious to see what it's going to say regarding his line. And the reason why I first started talking about ranges is because if we restrict him to just having like this 5% range of like ace king plus, ace king's now his only bluff. So I'm just kind of interested if we see like that hand yeeting off, since we presume that like queens and kings are going to want to take this line, which does seem pretty reasonable. And yeah, like I would say that your line is probably okay because you do block kings and queens, which are his most probable value.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what the Wizard thinks. I don't think you made any mistakes as played, other than maybe pre.
I mean, it is tough when you see the size he chose. It's like for out of position is like 40% pot, so he goes like 90 to 215. So
Yeah.
when we call, we're like calling near pot on the turn.
This is his range right here?
This is a theoretical opening range, and then I ran I have 2 tabs here. So my first tab is this wizard. The second tab is but something we can edit for the under the gun 4-bet range.
Okay.
So we can look at 2 differences between like theory versus what potentially happens.
But wait, why are you looking at such a wide opening range? It's a 4-bet spot.
Correct. This is just under the gun open. This is low jack 3-bet.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
we see here that
I
low jack like 3-bets most of the time, very little calling.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
Just through the line.
I got you. Go ahead.
And then under the gun actually does go for like this big 4-bet size, like 3.5x.
Okay.
And the hands that you want to be using, like some ace 5, ace 4, ace 10 sometimes, king 10, like on losing to the hands that 3-bet bluff for Brian, like hands being like
kind of getting
ace.
maybe some better to fold.
Wow, you don't even 3-bet ace queen here. That's nuts. Like most of your 3-bets here are very suited heavy. Like you just have no offsuit hands besides ace king.
Is that because the under the gun range is just too nutted?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like with the rake
Right.
implications,
Yeah.
Right.
like it's supposed to be like ace 10 mixing folds, but like people are opening queen jack off. So
it's kind of funny because I do always wonder like how much are people aware? I'm sure they're aware to some degree, but how much are they aware and how much do they adjust their opening range from when they're under the gun to when they're in mid position to when they're like is it just look does their like mid like their low jack open look the same as their under the gun open? When like
some
we're
people
playing
might
nine-handed,
legit just
it
play the
might
same.
I
That's
think
what I'm saying. You're right.
I feel like one of the first things people learn is position. So I feel like people are but the thing that people don't adjust for is the reaction to under the gun. So they'll like be too wide, like not respect the under the gun open. Just like from what I've seen.
Yeah, like I did.
Because I feel like people just kind of know like early position, tight, like it's kind of like a simple concept. So
yeah,
it's very
that's
it's
fair,
very
for
possible
sure.
that some people legit just play like the same as they play like gun 8 as button.
That's what I do.
Sure. With
but I think at the
don't think
duel
it's a secret.
it's maybe not
yeah,
as much.
I just mean in the sense of like if people open jack 10 from the button, they're probably gonna open jack 10 from the low jack because offsuit Broadway, decent hands. You open 2 paint cards.
I think to double down on that point, a lot of people don't look at range charts and have never seen them, so it's just like what hands appear playable based off how they look.
Definitely.
And that's how
Why
you start to
queen
see.
jack off so much.
Yeah, and it's also why you start to see like people who are losing,
Paint cards.
people who are losing that like want to be more involved. You start to see like the suited 3 gappers. Like
Right,
you'll
you
see
start
like
expanding by hands that can make a 5-card hand.
yeah, you'll see like an 8-5 suited in there where you're like, that's weird, and they're just like in their head they're like, well, I already play 8-6.
This is very
kind
true.
of
Like I like just listening to like the conversation people have at the table. Where I'm like, this
chatter.
person is like they play a lot, right? They obviously play. They're there all the time and they play, and they're probably a winner in the game. But then they say things and it's like you've never looked at a pre-flop chart ever. Because like you would not say what you just said, like if you right. So it's just like wow, that's it's wild to me.
So yeah. Anyways, getting back to it, looks like we don't 3-bet any offsuit because of the depth. Like a 200,
Yeah.
3-betting ace queen and getting called isn't even the most thrilling thing in the world. As if we do 3-bet, we see here that the under the gun calling range still has some ace king suited, some ace king offs. So like you're still going to be dominated and have an offsuit hand. Not great. So when we look at the under the gun 4-bet, it looks like it's mostly going to be the high cards with good blockers, and they do very well at getting you to fold some pretty good hands. Where theoretically, their range is super tight. I can't really see what percent it is like overall. I guess I
mean, we could probably guess it's about 6, but yeah, I think what's clearly taken away here, or like what we should be able to clearly take away here, is that the ranges 4-bet ranges in almost any environment will be comprised that way. They just may lack the bottom.
Right. And that's
you're just probably not going to see that low frequency ace 10, king 10.
But the bottom pole is
Yeah, it's kind of missing.
Polarized range without the bottom is just really good fucking hands.
It's just nutted.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, yeah, but that's
not so polarized, no.
But that's
Unless
exactly
you
what
do
Berkey's
only
saying.
the bottom.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. How about a polarized range missing the top?
Yeah.
That's,
Right. Yeah, when you see four
That's
bets,
Rigby ranges.
when you see four bets come in like the live environment, they're usually weighted towards the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like if we can like peel off like the ace 4, ace 5, ace 10, king 10, you see here it's mostly legit, and they're right. Like you are supposed to 4-bet, try to stack off with aces and kings and ace king, and then queens goes down in value as 4-betting and getting the reaction of call for the size that they're choosing is gonna be very selective.
Yeah.
Like they go 36.5 over 9.
Yeah, and I think that this is another good example of like what actually happens live, where mixing doesn't really occur, so things gravitate pure. King's just pure 4-bet, ace king just
4-bet
pure
get in for
4-bet.
sure.
Yeah,
And then queen just pure
and then
calls.
queen just pure calls.
Yep.
Right. So like the boundaries just like shift ever slightly.
Yep. So for us in this spot facing a huge 4-bet, we actually get to start folding hands like ace king off and like king queen suited paint. Ace queen suited just goes in the muck, which is like really ugly.
Wow.
But it makes sense in the sense of realizing that this hand does very poorly and gets dominated a ton if we do decide to play versus their range.
Yeah, it should demonstrate too the importance of pairs. Just generally speaking, so like obviously 10s are out because they block a lot of where the bluff range comes from. But when you start to see like the majority of the other pairs,
Same with jacks.
Yeah, Jax is pissed.
yeah,
Jax is real pissed.
yeah, you can see like the lower pairs when anytime that they 3-bet, they like pure call because they're clean.
Suited connectors as well.
Yep.
Right. Yeah,
The Fantastic Four is here.
They're
fantastic.
We Mr. Fantastic.
Landon loves that nickname.
Yeah, it's Mr. Fantastic, the Human Torch, the Thing, and then Invisible Woman. so like when you 3-bet these hands, shout out to Sam Laskowitz. When you 3-bet these hands, you call them versus a 4-bet because you don't have them very often, and you need to have some coverage
Board
sometimes.
coverage, yeah.
Where 8-9 suited doesn't exist because it gets wrecked by Ace King, and then sure you can have some Jack 9, Jack 10.
Also straight.
No, 10-9.
Sorry.
10-9 Jack 10.
Yeah, it's 10-9 Jack 10. And idea being, I wouldn't mind like folding these more and calling with the lower because of the way that the ranges are constructed.
Right.
That your 2 pairs and your straight draws and your flush draws are just going to be worth the same as their ranges are going to be like ace-x suited hands.
Yeah.
So the difference between a jack high flush and a 6 high flush for you is not going to be
Irrelevant.
that different.
Yeah.
But your equity is cleaner on like queen 6-4. Now you have pair and 3-2, where if you have like hands like Jack 10 on 10-9x, it gets a little bit scary where your 2 pair gets muddy with potential straights and
Right.
better 2 pairs and things
Yeah.
along those lines. So this is what it looks like in theory when it comes to the ranges. Even queens gets to fold here. So like
That's so weird.
this is legit one of these spots where like I'm
Just don't have a lot of pot
cool.
share.
Yeah, you're just like fucked.
I've
Like,
never
Yeah.
folded queens.
I'm just completely cool with like this being a spot where like okay, like very low EV spot to continue versus gun 9 4-bet. Finding a fold here completely reasonable.
Yeah.
Fold here every time, you'd be all right.
They just
Yeah.
don't have the jacks and the 10s enough to for,
Yeah.
for
And they
you to be
shouldn't.
able
Well, they
to,
don't
right?
have it at all. But yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the 4-bet range front of the gun, they're
They
folding
might not
jacks
even
and
have
10s.
ace king enough.
They're folding jacks and 10s to the 3-bet because of how tight you're supposed to be when you 3-bet in the first place. But I mean,
It's
this
just
is
it's a very tight formation to begin with, right?
and
Under
the rake
gun
is
and then low
10%.
jack.
So
Right.
first guy that gets in the pot doesn't want to play hands, and now you're 3-betting a guy that doesn't want to play pots in the first place.
The thing is or like I guess where the adjustment comes in is that rake is ignored. So
Yeah.
the general populace, like Brian would be out of his mind to be 3-betting this tightly in an environment where people are not rake sensitive.
Right.
Right, like if they're just opening too widely, like you ignore the rake. And if you ran this for rake-free ranges, you would start to see all those pairs repopulate.
Yeah.
So you're going to start continuing with all of your pairs anytime that you're 4-bet. He's going to start 4-betting slightly wider, more broadways, things of that nature.
Everything just
Do
expands
you
a
think
little.
Yeah.
for live cash it's best to just run no rake?
Personally, like I think it's important to run both and then just look at the comparison so that you understand what it looks like in its most tight form and then apply that to the tight players in the game.
Right.
And then look at what it looks like in its loosest form in theory and then apply that to the people that you know are in the mix,
Yeah, that
so to
makes
speak,
sense.
right? Like
You can do this on Range Viewer if you go to softwarewide.io.
tell them, Lamanna.
You need to have an all-in access pass though.
That's right.
So looking at this spot in theory land, it looks like the size that they want to choose is 67%.
Instead of
And
40.
Instead of 40, right?
It's just probably
2E.
It's
close to 2E.
probably 2E,
Yeah.
and you want to do that with basically aces, kings, your good hands, and like have the bluffs here that exist. So what we'll do is just look at this one in theory land, and then we'll go to like the edited ranges of what we think the 4-bets are versus like what Brian's 3-bet calling. So versus 67, if we have a hand like king queen, oh, we don't actually have it. So they're like, that's the issue.
Yeah.
But I would imagine like all in is an option for the turtle, and like 8-7 is kind of taking it a little bit. I mean, going pretty hard even if you don't have a flush draw. But you kind of just have to run your equity. Like ace king of hearts just gets in there.
Yeah, you can just look at a hand like ace 10 of hearts.
Ace 10 of hearts, you're just gonna raise and just get it in,
Mm-hmm.
and just be okay with whatever happens.
Right.
You can, if you wanted to choose like the fancy click size, you kind of can. Cause
That was my instinct with king queen.
yeah, a
was
lot of
just
good
like-
stuff happens. You know, you get
Yeah.
better ace highs to fold. You make them kind of continue some other nonsense, and then like you just kind of like get ace king. You block the ace king that can exist for him, so you just get ace king to fold, which is good for you.
Right. That was kind of like the way that I was thinking about the spot is we would just want to apply max pressure to ace king because that's
Yeah.
bottom of his range.
Yeah, he doesn't have ace king of hearts, obviously. He
Right.
doesn't have ace queen of hearts.
And all of the
Like
good
this.
hands that he has are going to stack off anyways.
Right.
So you're
Yeah,
just getting a better
exactly.
price to click bluff it.
What's his strategy when we play call?
When we play call, and the turn is just like an offsuit 4.
Yeah.
Offsuit 4. He probably just has all in or check.
Yeah, I'm curious
And-
with ace king specifically.
Yeah. So ace king just kind of
Mostly gives up.
it mostly
A
gives
little
up.
bit of yeeting.
So okay. So when it comes to the ace king combos,
You're looking at the suited variety.
right. Okay. So ace king combos. I make this. Anyways, we can go like this way. So ace king suited, you're just going for it if you have no clubs. Clubs are bad as you want to.
You want me to have the back door?
Correct. You want you to float with backdoor
Yeah.
flush, like ace king of clubs and ace queen of clubs, stuff like this. That doesn't exist if we have the clubs in our hand. And then ace king, it looks like we're going for it for a jam if we have the king of hearts. Reason for that being that we get value, kind of like a merge-ish thing where you get value from ace x of hearts flush draws for Brian.
Mhm.
So with ace x king of hearts, you get called by ace queen.
Right. Yeah.
And we can look at Brian's range that calls off the jam. So even kings for us is like really mad. Like no one's ever folding kings here in their lives, and like I don't blame them for not doing that. But the point being, like
Kings is mad, ace jack pure call.
kings is mad. Ace jack has additional outs versus
Right.
aces, blocks
Yeah.
Blocks aces.
Also
and-
Blocks
additional outs versus
aces.
kings.
unblocks
additional
kings
versus
down
kings.
queens, but yeah.
right. And then you can just call off if you have a combo draw of 7-6 of hearts. You
So
just
that would
hit
be
me dealer.
yeah, that'd be pretty applicable to king queen here.
Right.
So him going call is probably pretty
Well, this is
Pretty
with the
fine.
B67 size. So like if we just go to the little pencil and just go 40, we can see that there's a little bit of a difference facing pot on the end. I mean, 6-7 here is still going to call probably just because of the open-ended straight flush draw. But now when he goes B40, you actually don't raise anymore.
Mm.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting. I guess the point being that you kind of want to protect yourself for the SPR if he does pile the turn on you,
Mm-hmm.
which makes some sense. It's also kind of scary to play where if you go 67%, stacks are almost almost in.
Why did
Right.
everything turn black?
Because I'm looking at I clicked I don't know. I think because I'm hovering over something.
Oh.
But anyways, now if he goes B40 on flop, he can choose two sizes between all in and 66. So now it looks like I guess
I would just single size
simplify
it.
to single size. People
Yeah.
probably just go all in here with like queens and
Yeah,
stuff. Like
for
kings.
sure.
Mhm.
Like do you see kings? Like do you see king of diamonds X? Like king of diamonds, king of spades, just
Yeah.
go all in.
This is like this is what happens all the time, right? When you're playing live and you get to the point in the hand where it's pot behind, it's checker all in.
Yeah.
Like that's just how they
Yeah.
play,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Right. When there's actually a little bit more like construction than that.
Mhm.
But
Unless they have like the stone nuts.
Right.
So when you see the 33% come in, then you're like, I get the nuts, god damn it. But then you get too good of a price. So what the fuck do you do?
You just pray.
yeah, so
Pray to get there.
Yeah.
even versus like the jam that comes in, which is relatively annoying theoretically, when you just have a pair plus flush draw, you kind of just say run it. Like
What
6-5
about-
of hearts,
Yeah,
you're
what
in.
about 7-8?
7-6, you're in. 7-8, you're in. You just even
Yeah,
like
so it's gonna be
double
the same
gutter,
with king queen.
King
Mhm.
queen with the overs and the king's block is going to be in as well. So you just can't fold. But if you like have kings, if you have queens here, you can actually like find a fold. But which is kind of very normal to theory.
Yeah.
I guess what we can do is like let's just say that like this guy has kings in this node with like playing decently. We can just give him a pure jam with kings and like see how things change. Oh shit. This. Go here. Go node lock. Oh, crap. I minimize. Set strategy. All in 100. Go to kings and just do that. Click node lock. It's gonna get a lot tighter. Even just moving those combos, right? So we just go 100, And now we see if they pure jam, we just start folding queens.
Yeah.
So you can just legit let it go if you think they never play traps. And then you still have to call off with your equity.
Yeah.
Like you have
I
7,
think
8
that's
suited.
I think that's the biggest takeaway here is understanding where the line of demarcation is for your 0 EV hands, right? Like, and realizing that it's not about the raw showdown value, but it's more about the raw equity that the hand possesses. Like King Queen of Hearts just possesses a lot more equity in a spot like this than pocket queens will.
Like you want improvable hands.
Yeah.
Because like there's enough of their range will beat you.
So much of the range is
unimproved.
dense to aces and kings, and then a little bit of queens or whatever, that they're winning the showdown war. So you need to find a bunch of hands that have a lot of equity against the showdown region of their range, which queens just doesn't.
Yeah, you'd rather have like 10 outs versus 2.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Maybe it's even more than 10
Yeah.
if you
Yeah,
put
like
plus.
you're way more uncomfortable there with queens than you're with king queen. suit.
Correct. Yeah.
Queen of
I
Hearts.
think so.
I guess if we want to look at what we think this guy's 4-betting, I mean, I guess if you guys want to help me out a bit.
I
Like
think you can get rid of ace queen.
Yeah.
if ace queen goes
I think
to
you just like look at the
0,
tightest version and just
Aces and kings.
yeah, just leave it as is.
Yeah, that
Leave it
looks
as
good.
is there, and then just like add some suited stuff for Brian.
Well,
I don't think you need to change anything.
you think this is just a fine range for the 4-better, 2.5%?
I think kings is 100%, but otherwise,
I don't
yeah.
think that they're 100%ing ace king though, are they?
I would say
do.
no.
I would say
I
no
would
as
say
well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
think
they
this
are.
spot, yeah. I would
They're
give him
not.
100%.
I think so. I think that's why the size comes through.
So you
like
think-
I bet that aces actually aren't as much of this range as we think it is, but I wouldn't change it.
You think that you're cool with just having 2.3%?
Yeah, I would just go with that.
I would actually wager at the Jewel of the South that the 4-bet does not come through more than the call.
Yeah, I agree. Well, obviously, that's true of.
You mean
and
with ace
that's-
king?
All right.
You mean with
With
ace
ace
king?
king.
Ace
Yeah,
king.
with ace king.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. I
Sometimes
think
people like flat ace king. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I'm
people don't
saying.
always want to pile with ace king.
No,
they don't.
but
They
this,
flat a lot.
this specific player, I think,
Oh, okay.
would find the 4-bet definitely more than not with the ace king.
So moving on to what we think Brian is 3-bet calling. I talked with him prior. It looks a little bit like this, I imagine.
yeah.
Like we have some suited ace X is gonna fold sometimes. You have some like the fantastic 4s in like a quarter of the time, like 7s,
Never
8s a
calling
little
kings,
bit. He's just gonna pile kings. That he said.
just always.
Just send it.
I mean, most always because
I think it's fine if you're just like always trapping aces, but I would just mix both.
I said that I was always trapping aces.
yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I would just probably try to mix both, but I
We'll
think
give
it's
him a little
reasonable.
bit of trap.
He told
And-
me I
and
couldn't. He didn't allow me to mix.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't
Okay, we'll
just
give-
always
we'll
pile
give you
kings.
no.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
fine.
think
No
I'm
one's
cool
gonna-
with that.
No.
So now if we look at this and we click create.
I don't think the strategy is
solution.
going to change much. I think you're still
We'll
just going to
see.
see a lot of giving up with pocket pairs and a lot of continuing with equity.
I think you're right in the sense of like when you have good hands, you're going to continue, and by good hands like 5-card hands.
Yeah.
Where like 2-card hand being like pocket
Right,
queens
yeah,
becomes
yeah.
very like less good.
Yeah, agreed.
Mhm.
So now we go to the little pencil, go to 40, firm. I'm surprised it's not even range betting. You know, like your range
Right.
is so good.
Well, I think that might be why.
I think
just
in
so nutted.
practice, I think in
Yeah.
practice people are just gonna range bet flop. So like I'm just gonna node lock and just bet 100
Yeah.
and it'll be fine. Set strategy, just go 100. Now, if I'm looking for the entire strategy to be node locked, I can just do this set frequency. So 100% frequency, a bet comes in, no hands, yeah, because I want to lock all of them. So now they bet 40%, and now we, as default, do not play raise because their range is too good.
Yeah.
We basically try to spike on them.
I'm
Yeah.
a fucking god.
Wow.
Turtle's a god.
He's the human
I feel
node
like
lock.
I just somehow find my way falling into the
Let's not forget you had a pure fold pre, buddy.
Easy. We're not concerned. We're on to the flop now.
Right.
Let's
So
forget about
even though
that.
their range is this strong and they B40, you still have to peel with ace kings because you just chop with them enough of
Right.
the time
I
to,
assume
to
it. I
pray.
assume it's very heart dependent.
Yeah. So you look at the ace king off combos. Scroll down a little.
So ace king suited, you're probably folding spades, and
You're folding
maybe
with the king of
diamonds.
spades. Yeah, spade is bad.
Diamonds are bad.
Diamond club is fine.
Mm.
But heart is good.
Yeah.
So like if you just peel with ace king with a heart, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Ace queen with the backdoor, you have to peel sometimes too to bluff
Right.
later potentially.
Yeah.
And then ace 10, you can fold if you have ace 10 of clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do turn equity a lot of the time, you're
dead.
going to get piled on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you can't realize with a hand like that
Right.
if you turn the deuce of clubs.
Right.
Yep.
So we call turn like offsuit 4, something like this. And now he has 2 sizes, but he's probably going to play 2 sizes and only uses. Okay, so he plays the small size because his hands are so good.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the issue. I guess we can just. I don't want to no lock fold jam. I think we can just like maybe he checks sometimes with like he probably
he
checks
just checks in piles.
So okay, so if we move 66, let's go like this. See what happens.
Definitely checks our pals.
Yeah, I don't think the B66 comes in. So sometimes queens might, queens might check, aces might trap a little bit, ace king is going to give up a lot, and then ace king suited is going to go for it if they unblock your combo draws.
So right. So if they have that, if
they have
the clubs,
if they have clubs, they check.
Right.
If they have diamonds or spades, they beat your combo draws, and they don't make it so you have ace x of clubs that peels the flop.
Gotcha.
Like ace queen.
Yep.
Because sometimes they're hoping that you fold, and it's less likely when they have clubs. So he goes all in. Oh shit, you're out. The turtle's out.
Turtle folds.
Turtle folds. So turtle
Reject
folds.
me, daddy.
Turtle folds.
Wow, but queen's call.
Turtle
It's
folds.
because he has so much ace king.
It's because he has ace king that
Yeah.
jams.
Yeah.
And in this spot, because of the pot odds you were getting, it looks like it just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, 2-1 with just a naked flush draw.
Right, like
Or
7-8.
naked gut shot.
7-8 double gutter flush draw is good. 6-7 open ended is good. 6-5 pair plus is good. But then when you have king queen, one of the issues with king queen is that your river king is not good sometimes when they have ace x, like ace king. So now like let's just see if we change the SPR from a range bet of B40 to like let's just call it 67, like the machine was choosing. So,
Now I'll call because I get better odds.
No, you might just raise.
Or I just rip flop.
So now you do get to rip flop.
Yeah.
You do get to rip flop
Yep.
for the sizing that he chose.
It's pure with hearts.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if he would have came in, if I'm sitting there and I'm facing like 125 instead of 90, you just rip.
No, I think the takeaway
130.
here is that based off of his range construction, when you face that c-bet, you just shove. Because you already made the mistake pre of folding or of missing the fold.
Right.
And he's just going to, first of all, I think he's going to be weighted more towards ace king when he chooses that size.
Yeah.
And you just have too much equity.
Right. Like if he has queens, he wants to protect more.
Yep.
Right. If he has
like
kings,
if he's going to find a bigger size,
more.
if he's going to find a bigger size, it'll be with kings and queens.
If he has, well, he doesn't have ace kings of hearts because he can't.
Right.
But like, so this, like when I was playing this hand, I know we talked a couple weeks ago about my king jack of diamonds hand.
Yeah.
Where I, where I was facing what I thought was kind of like a similar situation where, I flop a lot of equity with a combo draw and then I just check, get it in.
Yeah.
And we found that was incorrect. And I think the main takeaway is understanding the SPR, right? The SPR was like a lot higher in that situation.
You were check jamming for more than pot.
Right, exactly. Where like this one is check jamming for pot.
Yeah.
And so like, and I'm, it's a 4-bet formation, which is different.
Right.
As well. So ranges are different.
Much
ranges are tighter. So I think it's very important to see these two situations where they may look similar from the outside looking in, but then they're very different and you play them differently.
Right. The principles are extrapolated differently.
Right.
Off of formation, off of SPR, off of position, off of I mean, you're talking in position versus out of position. You're talking deeper SPR versus lower SPR. You're talking 4-bet pot versus 3-bet pot.
Right.
Like,
so many differences.
all of these variables massively change the principles at play.
Not just the hand and what the cards are on the board.
Yeah.
It feels a lot worse when you see the B40 and then he jams on you for pot versus 3/4 or 2/3, and that's kind of the reason why pot odds exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when he piled, and then I was just like, and then I thought I was like, I should have just shoved flop because like I'm in a situation now where he's piling on me and I'm not getting the correct price to call against the range I think.
Well, you had a deck read
has.
though.
But the thing is, I did have a deck read. I was kind of over it. I said, you know what? This guy got me ace king versus ace king. I'm getting my money back right here. Call.
It's
sometimes when you have a negative EV spot, you should just go for it because it turns into a positive EV spot when you hit.
It's kind of funny because
I just broke Landon's brain.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because it is positive EV when it hits.
When it hits.
Right.
Yeah,
you get
for
all
sure.
the EV.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Your expected value is 100.
Yeah, if you have a deck read,
$1,000.
your EV is,
Deck reads are a
positive,
critical part of this game.
They are.
My tip of the day today actually might be about deck reads. Now that we bring it up,
let's go.
I think you're inspiring me, Tortoise.
Thank
Don't
you.
get me started
I'm
on
here.
deck reads, man.
I don't know, man. I wish you had better deck reads. If you had better deck
the
reads,
heart of the
would would all
deck,
be so
right?
rich.
Yeah.
You know? Like when you yeeted threes, if you just had a deck read and knew that a 3 was coming, that would have been totally fucking fine.
Or knew it wasn't coming.
Right. Or if you knew it wasn't coming, you could have just mucked.
Yeah.
You just fold pre. That's the skill that we don't talk enough
I
about.
mean, I saw Bin Wang snap 4-bet jam on Corey. He had just sat down in the 1500 turbo at WSOP. And it was 40 big blinds deep. And Bin Wang opens. Corey 3-bets. Bin Wang beats him in the pot with a jam. Corey calls. And Bin Wang had king 7.
Right.
And it was king 7-7.
Uh-huh. We call that hand in Bobby's room, we call that the power.
He used the power.
He used
and
the power.
Corey was out. It
That's
was
right.
his only hand he played.
Corey had aces.
He had ace queen.
Same thing.
See,
Maybe a
it
little.
was king 7-7 king.
Against Ben, definitely same thing.
Yeah. I was so shocked.
Yeah. I mean, deck reads are important. Okay. So, everybody out there, really go align your chakras, get your crystals, maybe play a little bit of poker with a purpose and, get a
Maybe
good
play
solid.
around with a deck of cards.
Yeah. Maybe just feel a deck,
Like,
really
the
become
heart of
one
the
with the deck.
cards.
Yeah. Yes. I like where you're at, Melissa. I'm coming around, to be quite honest.
There's edges to be gained everywhere.
That's right. Like, what are we doing in these EV streets when
When-
we could be reading the deck?
When they're using AI and bots, you gotta do something human.
I'm going to use a tarot reader.
You have to use your human
Right.
instinct.
That's right. That's
Third
right.
eyes.
Because nothing would do better against the bot than a human brain.
Exactly. They can't connect to the mystical.
Viffer had a little speech about this at the Bally's Live where he was saying that he thinks a human would absolutely destroy AI.
well,
and
I don't know.
I think
I don't know about that.
I think it was a little unfortunate for him to find out that actually we've run these tests and we've gotten fucking
Yeah,
obliterated.
Pluribus did that.
Just absolutely wrecked us. But
He's
yeah,
like,
sure.
more bots are better.
That's right.
But
Landon's gone.
Yeah,
Landon can't take
Landon's
He's throwing up. He's throwing up.
we actually just eviscerated him.
But
He
I think
has
if
no
you took
more.
a human that was fully
Intuitive.
locked in
Right,
to
locked
the
in, baby.
mystical,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Have they tried that?
Who knows?
They did put a psychic on the big game like way back.
How'd that go?
He lost.
Oh, fraud.
But you need someone who has good deck reads. Like a
Yeah.
psychic's not gonna have good deck
That's right.
reads. They don't
I'll-
play poker.
not
Look,
how
we're
it
going to
works.
dedicate a whole show to deck reads one of these days.
We need to get the best deck readers in the game on
That's
the
right.
panel.
I agree with you.
Comment the best deck readers.
Chance is a
in
good deck
poker.
reader.
Chance.
Ben Wynn
Ben
is a good.
Wynn is he's the king
It
of
makes
deck
me think
readers.
that they actually.
Do you think they teach deck reading?
I think they teach deck reads.
That's worth a lot.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe D-Nex is right. Maybe you should get coaching from Chance if he can teach you how to read the deck.
Who else is good at deck reading?
Does Charlie count?
It's more like someone who can really think well.
Oh, that was
So
great.
that's what else he does on the show.
Yes, that was
Yes.
perfectly timed, by the way. Give the man his props. If you guys would like to submit an In the Muck to us, be sure to head to our Discord channel. You can find that at our actual Solve for Why Twitter page. So it's at Solve for Why TV. Or you can hit hashtag or maybe exclamation point Discord in the chat. That'll give you a link to our Discord channel. We have a whole In the Muck segment where
I
you
promise
can.
you we're going to change that graphic.
Yeah, one of these days.
The Nikki gun
you can
to
submit
head.
it's too good. And also, if you guys are interested in using GTO Wizard yourself, be sure to click in the link in the description below or hit hashtag Wizard in the chat to get that link. Forward you over to a little kickback for Landon if you guys decide to sign up.
Make
we
me
appreciate
rich.
it. Shout out
Landon,
to
are
Wizard.
you kickbacking us for all? Like, I'm bringing you these In the Muck segments, and so now you're getting kickbacks.
I'm
Why does
kicking-
Are you
Landon get
kicking
kickback?
kicking some of your
It's just the way
kickback
it
Why
to
does
me?
a tortoise
I'm
get
kicking
kickback?
you back legitimate strategy.
Oh, that's
You are.
true.
That is true.
I
That
think
is
that's
true.
a
That
fair
is
trade.
true.
You
Yeah.
get traded good poker. I get traded maybe $5.
Yeah.
Fair trade.
That's fair. Yeah. I think
Landon's
that's
getting
fair.
kicked down the stairs.
Fair trade. Fair trade.
You would never do that to me.
Never.
All right. So it appears as though we got some Reddit stuff. Was this yours or Nikki's doing, Melissa?
Nikki's.
Okay. All right. So has anybody looked at this yet?
No.
All right. Then allow me to brief you all. All right. So this one was posted 6 days ago. It says, I recently moved up from 1-3 to 2-5, and occasionally 2-5 tables in my homeroom will put on a mandatory straddle. I generally play along and agree to it to play nice, but I'd really rather not straddle because normal 2-5 is already big relative to what I'm used to. Any advice? This is incredible. This is actually what I wrote the Take a beat segment on today.
Wow.
So I'm going to sit this one out. I don't want to give too much advice here because I already have, a whole
Wow.
I have a whole op-ed written on it, but let me finish what he says. So probably every other time I go play now, there's a group of players trying to make the game bigger and put on a mandatory straddle that's essentially turning the game into 5-10. It doesn't help that some of the dealers seem to encourage and pressure everyone. I only recently moved from 1-3 to 2-5.
More of that.
So the game already plays big for me. Putting on the straddle and playing 5-10 just turns me into a turbo nit, and I'm not really trying to play that way. I've noticed other players who are clearly uncomfortable, and the mandatory straddle also tightens them up a lot. Any advice for how to navigate this? Obviously, I don't want to be a dick and refuse to straddle because I want to keep action and maintain a good image. I just don't want to play 5-10.
This is tough.
I have a quite
happens a
easy
lot.
way for this.
Go on.
Start a 1-3-6 game.
Yeah, I was gonna say just
Start-
be the straddler at 1-3.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you just start your own game and you get,
Yeah.
you just get people in there.
That works.
That's,
Well,
that's
you start-
actually good.
To,
That's
to,
right.
to push back a little bit, it sounds like this is a rather small room where maybe there's only a couple of tables running. The population, it seems as though there's a big crossover between the 1-3-2-5, and there probably isn't a big pool to draw from. So
Yeah.
what if just like creating a larger 1-3 game isn't really the option?
I mean, the thing
Straddle
is, in these
at
type of situations, I think if you build it, they will come.
Okay,
So like, if you just put it together,
I tend to agree
the
with
people
this.
will come. Like, it doesn't matter what the situation is. If you put out a 1-3-6 game on that board and you get a couple names, all you need is 3 or 4 names, and then the
Okay.
rest is it's all
Usually, if
history.
they see a game that's not normally going, they're like, "Oh, it must be good."
The thing is, if you put a 1-3-6 game on the board, it's going to turn into 1-3-6-12.
No, not necessarily.
Well, no,
Not
that's,
necessarily.
Actually, a lot of rooms don't let you double
No,
straddle.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
it's less
yeah.
likely. to.
Okay, so let's say that's not possible.
Right. That's really what I want to
I
examine.
think it's
because
kind of tough, man, because like you want to play higher and you kind of you rolled for 2-5 or trying to play shot take 2-5, but if you're in the spot of shot taking 2-5, I'd say not to play the bigger game.
You just understand
Yeah.
that the
I feel
game that
like-
you're going for is a 5-10. Like the next
Right.
the next
Yeah.
level up is a 5-10, and you just straddle
Like,
every
if you're-
goddamn hand at 1-3-6.
You're
What about
trying to-
1-3.
What about just actually being honest and saying, hey guys, like these
No.
stakes are a little bit of a
No.
shot.
No, get the fuck out of here.
Get out.
Get out. You're actually just
That's the most annoying.
you will never get a seat again in your life.
That's why you can't. Like,
It's, not, it's not up to them to give me a seat. It's up to the room.
Well, that's why
Yeah,
I'm
but when
gonna
you're
put a chip in front of the seat.
when you're playing public games, there is always a chance that you could get invited to a better semi-private, or you're always networking, and your image is not just in that game. Like, especially if it's a room that is pretty close knit, you never know like what opportunities you're squandering by being a dirty nit.
You probably lose some dollars too. there.
dirty
It's not
net.
about being a dirty net. It's just about just being honest.
Well,
Well,
it's
you
more
probably-
just like if you should build your bankroll to be able to play the straddle, I think.
I
Agreed.
would agree with that.
I agree with that.
Otherwise, drop down and play the straddle at that game.
I agree with that
I'm
as
with
well.
them.
I think you lose money also when you like say something like that, because now everybody thinks you're a net at the
Yeah,
game, and
you've
like
been labeled.
now you're not getting paid in many
It
spots.
is funny because like he mentioned in the post that like a lot of times the straddle makes the game tighter.
I think that's
right?
also true.
And it's just
Yeah.
like it kind of like, because like I know like Zeus plays, like he plays some 2-5 games, and like there's a lot of times where like they wanted to put like a button straddle on, or put like
that- no,
put
no.
the straddle
No,
right,
block the- I
or
always say
even put the
block
regular
it.
straddle on. He's just like, but like this, like with like look around at the players in this game, and like this game is kind of tight already, and then you putting the straddle on is not going to loosen it up. It's going to make
Well,
the tighter players tighter.
I disagree with that because it makes the tighter players shorter. So I think
It does make them shorter.
I
right?
think straddles hurt the game when it's currently a splashy-esque game, but stacks are relative to,
Yeah,
Okay,
to the
right.
stakes.
True. Yeah.
So if stacks are like between 100 and 200 big blinds, and it's playing like somewhat splashy, but maybe not the most action-packed game of all time.
Right.
I think a straddle really hurts here.
Yeah.
Because now it forces people to be cognizant about how they're putting money in the pot. But when games are really, really deep or really tight already, I actually think the straddle helps.
Okay,
Well, that's usually when
that makes
people
sense.
feel like putting the straddle on. When
Agreed.
When the game's playing tight.
Yeah. I think if the game is like ultra tight, a third blind can't do anything but help. And in general, like a third blind is going to be negative to people who study because they understand how dead the first blind is, that they're just like not able to VPIP any hands, right? But we're talking about mid stakes and small stakes. So the vast majority of the pools don't study and they just see extra money in the pot.
Right.
So the true solution here would be, instead of putting on a mandatory straddle or a third blind, you actually just add an ante. That would be significantly better if you're just like playing a hand or a game like 2-5 and they wanted to play bigger. They say, let's do 2-5 with a $10 ante. Right?
Like a big blind ante.
Yeah. And it's going to have the same impact on the nits, where they're going to feel like that's
that in these public games?
I don't know.
I've never even tried.
In Vegas, I think it would be pretty easy for them to adapt it because ante games are becoming more prevalent.
Yeah, that would be
But in like
interesting.
middle of nowhere Missouri, maybe not.
Yeah.
I'll get the rules from the Jewel.
Yeah, there you go. The thing is,
the Jewel rules, if you will.
the thing is with the ante though is it
representative.
it has the same impact on the nits because they recognize how expensive a 2 big blind ante is. But they may not recognize how expensive it is to them in the hands where they're not the ones anteing. So they feel all the pressure of being in the big blind, where they're like, it cost me 3 big blinds to pay the big blind. You know what I mean? Like the whole argument of like the big blind ante back whenever the World Series didn't want to adopt it to begin with. And I think that that's ultimately the goal, is that you want to price out certain people. It's not important to make the game welcomed to all, right? You do really want to price out the bottom tier that would just be better served playing a stake below.
I do think the issue in real time when the game gets bigger is that there's definitely a personal ego attached to not wanting to leave.
Agreed.
Where
I felt this a lot in my
Or
career.
not wanting to be bad for the game.
well,
Also true.
I think both can be true. But the sense being, if you knew that this was the game and if your friend was telling you this advice, you'd say, hey, like you probably shouldn't play this game if you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
But because it's you in the moment, you're with people you kind of know and like want to be cool with, and they say, hey, like you want to up the stakes, and you're not comfortable about it, you know, saying I'm not comfortable about it personally would ruin the game environment.
Yeah.
You just don't ever want to make a game smaller.
Right.
Like, nobody is ever incentivized to make a game smaller.
I literally just typed that. I was like, in my opinion,
Yeah.
you just never make the game smaller. Like, you just never, ever, ever. You
Right.
just mind your own business.
Right.
and
That's just
leave.
like, it's just like a gambler faux pas.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like if people want to play bigger stakes and everyone else is comfortable with it, you have to excuse yourself.
Yeah.
Especially
Or
if you know
get to
you're going to play
gamble
worse.
with them.
Yeah.
Well, you can, like, I guess that's the thing, is trying to find it's not possible to walk the tightrope of shot taking and trying to take a shot take responsibly, and then you're also deciding to play a bigger game.
Just have to leave
I think
though.
the other option is, let's say you plan on playing 2-5. Sometimes when you play 2-5, the third blind isn't on, and then this time it happens to be on. Maybe you sell some off.
Yeah. Things that can reduce your risk, obviously, are very viable. And this is kind of the question that I'd pose to you, Landon, more specifically than anybody else, but Conrad would probably speak to it too, and maybe Melissa as well. This happens a lot in stream games. And I'm
tomorrow.
curious how you guys... Yeah, big shout out to Bally's Live. Landon's going to be on there for the coaches game tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
But
go,
I'm curious
Lando.
how you guys navigate, because it's different when it's here, right? Like you're Bally's, like you have access to cash, whatever. But like there have been many times that I've flown to LA to play live with the bike.
Know.
For instance, I went to play the Eric Persons game. I took $250,000 to play 100, 200.
That game got a little bigger.
We played 1K, 2K. Right?
10 times the
Those
stakes.
Yeah. Those
So-
games,
Right.
the private or semi-private games can get crazy.
Right. So how do you navigate that spot where it's like leaving isn't really an option, getting the game kicked down isn't really an option, and overextending yourself doesn't really feel like an option either?
You should take my advice on this one, Burke, and just say, hey guys, this game is playing really big and I'm not really rolled
Then
for
you'll
this.
never
try
play
that next
again.
time.
Yeah.
Try that next time, Berkey. That should work.
I mean, I think
Matt Berkey.
I think in that case, like the collective here, we're very fortunate to be able to have people that we can sell off to very instantly.
Yeah, so,
instantly
not
if
everybody
we
has
need.
that.
But
Right.
let's
Well, for
say
me,
you
it
don't
wasn't
have
about
access
selling.
to cash.
Exactly.
Access liquidity, right?
And
Exactly. I had
that's
no
when-
liquidity.
Sorry, and that's when you start the group text. Is anybody in LA? Does
Yeah.
anybody
Does anyone
have
know
money?
anyone in LA?
Do you know anybody that's within 30
Right.
minutes of here or anything?
It's tough, and obviously we're talking about a totally different problem than
Right.
the person posting actually
Yeah.
had. But I'm interested to know what you like. How would you guys navigate this? Because it's not like this problem ceases to exist once you graduate to high stakes. If anything, it becomes much more prevalent.
bigger.
There's more pressure.
I mean,
Way more
Yeah.
because you get
Because your invites depend on
exactly. You got a seat that people would kill for.
you start from the top and you go down to the bottom. First, you ask the host if he knows anybody, and then you have to like reach out to your network.
Okay, but like for you, for example, like let's say that you get invited to a 25-50 creator game. It's a great spot, really profitable, yada, yada, yada. And you've allocated X amount of dollars, but you're fixed at that amount. You can't sell more, and you certainly can't take on more risk.
Because I have no more cash. So that's why I can't sell no more?
You have like you're already
Yeah, you're tapped.
you're already maxed out.
You're tapped. You've done whatever you could. You've diluted yourself as far as you can go. You can't really take on any more risk.
I mean, this has happened to me in the
exactly.
Resorts World game where I thought I was signing up to play 510 and it was 510 20 40 80 and I'm sitting with $2,400 and suddenly I have to be jamming pre-flop a lot, and I just started playing tournament poker. I mean, I'm not gonna like
Your favorite form of poker.
Yeah, right. And I was like, this is actually the worst.
Actually, elaborate a bit on that because I think that this is an important takeaway.
Well, I just basically tried to like gamble it up to a stack that was playable.
Right. So I think that another thing that people don't really understand, and this can be spoken to the poster, is the more shallow the game makes you based off of the dynamics, the higher EV you begin to gain pre-flop.
Yes.
So the strategy actually becomes being all in often pre-flop.
Now,
of course, you take
all in with eights, with ace queen off, like
you take on a lot of volatility, of course, but there's a lot of money to be made there because of how splashy the environment
100%.
is.
I mean, because like let's say I have 2,400, and then I double up to 5K, and then and then we're almost at 100 big blind. Well, not really, but we're getting there.
Right.
And then let's say we double up again, and then we're really, and then we got 10K, and then we can actually maneuver, and it's still a good environment. We just have more maneuver, but you have to kind of like gamble to get there, which is like not comfortable for a lot of people.
The thing is though, like, I know we're framing it as gambling, but it's actually not, right? It's just it's an alternative strategy.
It's just more variant.
Yeah. It's more of a pre-flop strategy. And honestly, it's the highest EV one available most times.
But I think what you'll see often instead of people jamming pre is like they'll just be like flatting.
Yes.
They'll just
100%.
flat, and then they'll dwindle
They try to mitigate
down.
the risk.
They'll try and see flops. They'll try and so they're kind of like, and then all of a sudden they have like 5 bigs.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they just jam with whatever.
Right.
So like that you don't really. It's more it's like a psychological.
Well, it's kind of part of the issue of how people see risk, where they think that if you try to call it C flops, make a big hand, get paid, versus I want to realize on my equity and I want to leverage max fold equity, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Right.
Where the lower variance option is actually going all in because you get to realize your edge and you have full equity pre.
Right.
But most people see it as, let's take a safe flop. Let's see what happens.
Because
Let me get my set in.
In any one single hand, the volatility of the all-in strategy is much higher. But the overall strategy, when you look at it over a cluster of hands, it's much, much, much lower because you don't bleed money away. Right. And this is really important to understand because I think people overlook it, that oftentimes the reason why we set a high minimum buy-in into these games is so that people can't just come in with this short stacking sniping strategy.
High minimum being 100 bigs?
Yeah, or maybe even
more.
Sometimes more. It depends on like the environment, right?
You're really just like shadowing out the optimal strategy that's been given to us by the GOAT, Phil Hellmuth.
This is fair.
You're really just fucking black swanning.
Wow,
him
so
here.
he's
not
trying
wrong.
to EV steal by buying short.
Exactly, because
You're
like
risking less.
so I've played in games where like all of the loosest players are to my left and all the nits are to my right. And I've gotten stuck in those games and chosen not to necessarily reload right away because I recognize that it's much higher EV for me to just be able to like 3-bet jam from the blinds than it is to peel 200 big blinds deep versus, super loose players. Yeah, exactly. So, and in those situations, oftentimes it's because the game's playing bigger and I'm at a financial strain if I am capping off to like 200 big blinds or whatever. But the point being is that it's a very uncomfortable place to be in, but you're actually like making a lot more money hourly wise.
Yeah.
If you're able to adjust, adapt, and reconcile the fact that these guys are making a ton of pre-flop errors based off of how deep everybody around them is, and that you could just immediately capitalize on that by being all in. And it's something that I fully recognize happens in Bobby's room a lot. It's why most everybody plays deep, because the cockroaches that come in for 80 big blinds or 75 big
MTT pros that come
the
in.
cockroaches, they come
How
in.
did they get into the game?
Well, you fill seats later or whatever. The game's been running all day long, and they're just very forward with the fact that they're going to be an EV snipe, right? Like, I don't get a seat all the time.
Vulture
I come
one,
in
Vulture
Weird
two.
approach.
Yeah, shout out to all the vultures out there.
No, but it kind of makes sense from this is the opposite of ego, where it's like, I know I'm making money doing this, and I know I looked really bad on me, but I need to do what's best for my EV.
I think it's exchanging short-term EV for long-term, where if you show up and be good for the game, you're more likely to get
She's
invited
right.
to a game at some
It's a
point.
big catch-22. Sorry, I'll let you talk in a second, but it's a big catch-22 because on one hand, from their perspective, I don't get the seat very often, so I need to maximize the opportunity. So Landon's correct.
Scarcity.
But on the other hand, Melissa's correct in the sense that you don't get the seat very often because you play this way.
And you'll never get the seat again on top of that. If swinging back around to your question of what I would do in that type of situation, if it was the game and I realized that the game's going to play bigger, I just text everybody, let them know, and whoever, we just roll.
What if it's just first orbit, Lily Coletto's in there and she's just like, we're fucking straddling. You didn't expect
Double
it.
straddle.
We're double straddling. We're playing 25, 50,
That's
100.
what happened at the ladies' game. Like, it was supposed to be 25-50, and then she was pushing the double straddle.
Yeah.
So
to be honest, I think the same thing happens. You just send a text, hey guys, listen, we're playing 50 big blinds effective now.
Okay,
and
I think that's a really good answer.
And this is just what it is.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer, and I actually think that you're really good at this. Where for me, it's hard because, I guess I shouldn't speak about it from experience now because I'm not gonna put myself in too many scenarios where I have to get up and leave. But my point being is that you're just willing to do that, take the maximum strategy, the maximum EV strategy available, and if you die, you die.
Yeah,
right, and you just leave. You did it in the creator game. You just left 45 minutes in.
No, if you die, you die. It's time to go.
He's like, we're gonna have a massive stack, or we're gonna be dead.
Right. So a good parallel to this is I got into the high stakes game with Robo late, the last 2 hours, and it was playing 3-6 all day. The second I sit, 3-6-12 now. I had 300K on me, and it's like, okay, I have to navigate this scenario in some sort of capacity. I don't know how long the game is going to run, so it's like I wanted to buy in for everything. When I thought it was 300, 600, it's just like, okay, well, I can buy in for everything. It's going to be hard for me to lose 500 big blinds, yada, yada. But now it's 3, 6, 12.
And
well,
now, And now you want to buy in for 120.
But now it's 3. So now I cut it up into 2 buy-ins, because it's like I recognize that I'm just naturally taking on more volatility no matter what I buy in for.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So it's like I may as well mitigate it to the point where if I lose a flip, if I lose a flip, I can just run another bullet. I knew what my prefixed risk was, and I think that's what Conrad's speaking to, right? And the big thing with TV games, or maybe in this guy's instance where it's a local game that runs all the time, is you don't want to get bounced.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to be the person who tucks your tail and walks away.
Yeah, it feels bad.
It feels real bad, but it also feels it feels socially bad, right?
It feels bad, double bad.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at from the social
down bad,
from the social pressure aspect of it is that everybody knows what just happened in that game, right?
Yeah, the game got too big and you don't have enough money.
Yeah, so it's like you coming back
on yourself.
For what it's worth, you can sneak out without anybody realizing that you just left.
Maybe not. I mean, if it's
how many times can you give the excuse of I gotta go home, guys?
You see, the problem is a home game or something like that. You can't sneak out.
But that's how these casinos are, Brian and I used to go to Salamanca on the weekends, and it was the same 15 people populating 2 tables every single weekend.
Really? Yeah, I don't even think about that.
So it's like if we have to, play an orbit, go broke, and leave, it's clear we're in the hospital.
Yeah.
There's no bones about it,
Yeah.
And the thing is, if this guy's just taking a shot and he has an allocated amount of money and he loses that amount that week, but he wants to take that same shot again next week, they're not going to be so forthcoming. And if they are, they're going to see him as meat. That's not really an environment you want to set yourself up for, is where it's obvious that you're shot taking.
Yeah.
Because now the table captain of that game, the guy who is making the most money, the guy who's
lips.
Not only is he licking his lips, but he's double straddling. He's doing everything to fucking torture you.
Yeah.
Make this game fucking huge.
Yeah, you put a target on yourself.
Right. And I think this is something that Garrett both does really well and also to his detriment, in the sense of it's really, on one hand, he does a really great job of curating a gambling environment that a lot of people are happy to be involved in. But on the other hand, it's so insensitive to a certain collective, right? And if you're not careful about who you're alienating, because oftentimes in these TV games, it's not the pros. You know, you're not pricing out art. You're not pricing out
shot take.
Yeah, exactly. It's the shot taking wreck. So it's like you're skinning a wreck now instead of just shearing him.
Yeah.
And that now becomes very unsustainable for the game runners moving forward. Yeah, really fascinating question. I think that it dovetails nicely into.
I think the answer is just more money.
Well, yeah. Invest in crypto.
Always
Easy
the
fix.
answer.
Easy fix.
It's just be rich.
Just
Well,
get richer,
yeah.
bro.
I mean, the real answer is probably timing of when you start playing. Like, if you really do want to play 2-5, you can't. There's no option of 1-3-6. You have to start playing in the morning.
Yeah,
because
that's
there's
true.
gonna be less straddles, and you're
That's a
gonna
good
play with
point.
OMCs or whatever you want to call them, and just like.
I also think just like playing 1-3 longer until you can. Like until you can handle a jump from 1-3 to 5-10
Yep.
effectively is a very viable. It's annoying, but you could take intermediate shots.
Yeah.
You know, you can set aside
Like if you see the
3
game's
buy-ins.
really good,
Right.
you can set something up with someone, you know, that was going to buy your action
Exactly.
when games are good. But also, like, for people that live in Vegas, I know what people do a lot to kind of transition to moving up in stakes is like they'll play, you know, like a 300 max 1-3. Then they'll play like 500 max. Then they'll play like
Yeah.
15 or 500
Yeah.
max.
Yeah, because they have a
and
lot
then-
of options.
Right, and
Yeah.
then like they'll go play 500 max 2-5.
It's
at
kind of like
Bellagio.
graduating.
You can graduate
It's like
every
you go, like,
$500.
kindergarten,
Yeah.
first
There's
grade,
a
second
lot of
grade.
like little.
There's
There's
a
different
lot
games
of
that play different.
intermediary stepping stones here.
Especially
Sure.
for at least getting there's a path to high stakes kind of now, with like a lot of the games being like
There
5,
really is.
10,
5,
10,
10,
20.
3K
Like there's
max.
really a path to high stakes.
Well, it's 5,
now.
10, 20, and then 10, 20, 40, which plays uncapped.
Yeah, and it
You can
wasn't
just
like
win $500,000 in that game.
it just wasn't like that a couple years ago.
Right.
Like now
really-
that the
it-
win runs these games,
It was a
'cause
big
they
jump. It was a
made
big jump
the
from
5,
capped to
10,
uncapped.
3K cap, and then they have the 10. What is it? 5, 10, and then 10, 20.
what do you think
uncapped.
the fastest somebody could go, like just do call it study training and like while just putting volume in the like live arena, can go from not knowing poker at all to going to 10, 20, 40 uncapped?
Only
Dude.
That's
live?
how
You're-
good they run.
Only playing live?
Only playing live, or they can play online too.
Not knowing poker at all.
No poker, but
Give me a baseline bankroll starting.
they start at the very bottom, like this,
No.
Like zero?
10K, 10K.
A very
Oh.
long time. Maybe never.
5 years,
Yeah.
I mean 5 years.
4 or 5
I
years.
feel like 3 years.
The Liam kid that I met in Canada was playing 5NL 4 years ago,
There you go.
and now he's playing 2550, 2550, 100.
How did he do it? Did he just like have some form of coaching,
Yeah, yeah, he has a good group.
coach backing arrangement probably?
I'm pretty sure I know who his coach is. I don't want to out it though.
Sure.
And then he just has what seems to be a pretty strong, small, tight knit group that he
He's got the
studies with, that he probably sells action to. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's absolutely imperative for people who want to try to scale to develop these networks.
Doing it by yourself would take a very long time. You'd be
it'd
a huge
so
outlier.
Hard.
It's very hard.
You'd have to. Well, it's easier now than it like used to be in the sense of how good you can get on your own. Like you don't have to get good
But
with
then there's
Pio
all
to run
these-
solves.
All these soft skills that you don't learn from that.
Some people might be better in the sense of like just call it cool in high school or whatever, and then find poker.
Yeah.
You know, I just mean for the sense of strategically learning the game. It's easier now to self-teach than it was before.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree, but.
Not that it's easy.
No, but the environment's changed where I think it's the same. And what I mean by that is the way that we self-taught was largely just being very good at adapting.
You were theory crafting. Like
Yeah.
you thought things were good or not, and you tried
exactly, and we were just adapting to what we consistently saw. So sure, we weren't optimal, but we were optimal for the information that was available to us, or at least we were pursuing optimization for the information available to us. And the same thing's occurring now. It's just the information's a lot more perfect.
Most
if
of
that
the
makes sense.
answers are real versus potentially real.
Yeah, just guesses. You know, we were still using the scientific method the same as people are now. The difference is we didn't have any tools to calculate
Like
things.
the theory grade that people used to play back in the day was like D or C level, but
Yeah.
now it's A.
Yeah.
So it's the same, but
You
now
see
you
a
can
lot
get
of
to
the
A-level
principles that
poker.
were developed 10, 15 years ago circling back now.
Dude, Helmut's a genius. Like in these fucking tournaments when you're short and you're blind versus blind, you want to limp trap pairs. He's a fucking god.
Yeah.
The only issue is he jammed them instead of calling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about theory crafting, we do have some academies coming up this spring. We have one in the middle of March 18th to the 20th. We also have a Cash Academy and an MTT Academy in May. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to head to academy.solveforwhy.io or hit hashtag academy in the chat. This conversation dovetails nicely into today's Take a Beat. I want to take a beat and discuss the true backbone of this game. The unsung heroes that seek no fanfare, no public attention. They're just there for the love of the game. So to all you red chip grinders out there, I see you. And I applaud your efforts. I know what's going on. You guys are in the muck. Whether you have aspirations to someday play behind the glass doors of Bobby's room, or you're fighting session by session to ensure next month rent is paid, at one point, every one of us that's made it was exactly in your shoes at one time or another. For some of us, more recently than would care to admit. Though the road seems long and may at times feel like it's not worth it, that's part of the test. This life isn't for everyone. And this next part is dedicated to those who are actually able to stomach the swings and are resilient enough to continually pick themselves up after a failure, learn something new, and still forge ahead. To you guys, I want to offer a small nugget of advice, and that's respect the gamble. Don't fear it. Somewhere along the way, we've lost sight of poker being a source of entertainment, rooted in gambling. As you log more hours at the table, learn more of the intricacies of strategy, and understand more deeply where your bottom line is generated from, it becomes imperative to create a welcoming environment that not only benefits you, but also the other 8 players around you. One of the biggest intangibles to moving up in stakes is understanding how to offer value to the game that you wish to play, and the easiest way to do that is to embrace your ability to take on risk. Gambling, if you will. Make a late call down now and then. Table your bluffs. Don't ever nit roll somebody. And act quickly anytime you're not in a life or death decision. Even then, be sure to apologize and let yourself be vulnerable. It's not only okay, but it's endearing to express the importance of a moment to everybody that to some degree or another can understand and sympathize whenever you are the person who's constantly at risk. If nothing else, not taking your time at the table too seriously will make this game fun again. And that's an absolute necessity if you have any desire whatsoever of having longevity in this game. So put on the straddle voluntarily. Don't seat hop on the VIP. Play all of the carnival games, 7 deuce, stand up. It doesn't matter how it's affecting your EV right now. Stack off a little bit lighter than the next guy, and for God's sakes, just pay. Learn these habits early while you're still in red chip hell, and the bigger games will welcome you with open arms once you're ready. In the meantime, we'll keep your seat warm in Bobby's room. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific with Matt Hunt, ready to do another strat chat. We'll see you guys all then.